Good morning, everybody. This is Carrie from Stamp with CT. It is time for our August stamp class. Super excited that you are here with us today, or if you're watching the replay, either way. So glad to spend a little bit of time crafting with you. So as you probably know, each month we do a stamp class, and now we are doing a stamp class in person and then also online here in our Craft and Connect group. You may hear Oliver in the background, sorry. And Dale's with me too. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Waving does not work. So we are getting this video ready for you. I was a little bit late getting kits out this month, so I apologize for that, but I think it's going to be worth the wait. I appreciate you guys being patient with me. We did start something a couple months ago where you can get a to-go packet if you are not able to attend the in-person stamp class. And that packet is $20, or it's free with a minimum $25 purchase that month, as long as it's not associated with any other promotion that I'm doing. So we would love to have you join us. I think we have, what, Dale, maybe 2 extra kits for this month? Yeah, 2. Okay, we have 2 left. So if you still want to get in on this class, let me know. So it'll be first come, first serve. Just have those 2 kits cut and ready. I'd be glad to send one out to you if you are interested. Stamp class in September is going to be focusing on Halloween projects, the cute Halloween, and I think it's Frightfully Cute stamp set. Yes, that bundle, and it really is a cute stamp set. So stamp class in September is the 18th for the in-person. We'll have a video posted. We'll have a video posted for you that morning, and then it's always 10 days prior to the class that is the deadline, so that I have time to prepare supplies for you. So just let me know by the 8th if you are interested in the class for September. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the products that we're using today. Very excited to use a stamp set that I already had in my stash, the Garden Wishes. It's a beautiful stamp set. It was part of a suite from our annual catalog last year. I didn't really get to use this stamp set in a class, so I thought we would go ahead and use it since it carried over, along with, and I'm trying to remember if they're the Dandelion Wishes, I think, are these dies. A really nice die set. To me, this die set could even be kind of standalone if you have a similar stamp set. These work really well coordinating with the stamp set or on their own, but these dies are awesome. You're going to get to see lots of projects featuring the dies. And then we're also using a brand new paper from the mini catalog, our new holiday catalog called Harvest Meadow. And this paper, I have to be honest with you, it did not jump out at me when I saw the new catalog. And each time there's a new catalog, we do a paper share and a ribbon share. And when this paper came in for the paper share is when it really caught my attention, when I unpackaged it and got to really see the beautiful colors and patterns. So you have Misty Moonlight, Cajun Craze, Calypso Coral, Crumb Cake, and Bumblebee in this paper. And it's really pretty. And I thought this would pair so well with our Garden Wishes stamp set and the projects that I had planned for y'all. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. I'm sorry, Oliver's making so much noise. What does he have? A toy.
Yes, he has
oh my
his
goodness.
rhinoceros.
He has his rhinoceros. So this month I have a little bit of a surprise for you. My very good friend Angelica brought me a bunch of stamp cases, like probably 30 or 40 of these stamp cases, which, you know, are a lot like a CD case. And so I thought, what can we do with those? I thought that was so sweet of her to bring them to me so that I could use them you know, either in classes or pass them on to you guys. I've already given out a couple of these cases to different people to keep their chamois in. They're just so awesome. Now you can purchase these cases in the annual catalog, but we've got some that we need to use up. So thank you, Angelica, for bringing those to us. She actually takes her stamps out of the cases and puts them in a plastic sleeve along with like the insert that comes with it. He is going to be ugly, isn't he? So that's why she had all these blank cases, and I thought, let's put them to good use. So we're actually going to make a little holder, and what's great is this actually holds all 4 of the cards, and I don't have envelopes in here, but those will fit as well, that we're going to be making today. So that's our first project. There is number 2, and it's a fancy fold, and I don't remember what the name of this fold is, but it's a really fun fold. So you can see how pretty this paper is. And I just thought this turned out so nice, and it would make a great gift for someone to have that in the case, envelopes, cards, and even the case decorated. So you have everything in your kit to decorate your case. You could certainly stamp on it, you could add ribbon or embellishments, whatever you want to do, but I did provide this designer series paper and then the die cut for you. He may have to go in the other room. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on our very first project. We're going to start with this one. This is probably one of my favorite dies from this die set. I love dandelions, and it's just so cute. So when you get your case, it's going to look just like this. And inside, you're going to have all of your cards in the individual envelopes. You're going to have the pieces that you need to decorate your case. And then you're also going to have 3 little bumblebee trinkets. So before I start with the card, let me backtrack just a little bit, because this is just a piece of the thick basic white cardstock. So this is what the cases look like, just clear cases when Angelica gave them to me. I cut this down, and the paper is right at 10 3/4 by 7 1/8. And I didn't score it or anything. I just slid it into the case. And because of shipping, yours is already slid in there. And then when you close it, it actually puts the crease right where it needs to be. So be careful when you're opening your kit, because you do have lots of little pieces. They'll set that aside. Now we'll go ahead and get started on our first card. So in your packet, you are going to find everything that you need for this card, and it is a super simple card. So first, we've got our basic white cardstock. I used the thick basic white. And we'll get a bone folder right quick and burnish that. I've already scored it for you. I didn't get that lined up very good, did I? Let's try that one more time. I think that's better this time. And then we've just got a mat of Misty Moonlight that we're going to put this designer series paper over. But first, let's go ahead and do some stamping. So we need some Misty Moonlight ink. And then I need the Wish stamp. Do you see? Got a bunch of stamps. Yes. Wishing you all the best. I think that's what I used on this card, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So we're actually going to just ink this up, and we're going to be stamping directly on the designer series paper. I love that effect. We'll just put this sentiment right down here. And the Misty Moonlight, I think, is dark enough. You could certainly use your Stamparatus if you wanted to, and that way you could add a couple of layers of ink and get that a little bit darker, but I was happy with that, just like that. So let me grab some liquid glue. So you can see this is a super simple card, but it's just Really pretty. You have a favorite one, D?
Favorite
card?
Card?
Yeah.
It's toward the end.
Oh, okay. Well, I just really love...
You know how I am about monochromatics.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I know which one you're talking about now. So these, you may have to trim one or both of your stems. We'll see. We're just going to put just a touch of liquid glue here. And then also just a touch on the stem. I really want the dimension from that flower. So that's... What?
Do you stand behind it first?
Oh yes, I sure do. Thank you. Ooh, Dale just, I almost had a catastrophe, didn't I? That's true. I almost forgot about that. There's a little stamp that just adds a little something something. It adds the little center of the flower. So we're going to put that there. Thank you for catching that. And it just gives it a little bit extra back behind. Yeah, I nearly forgot that. Okay, so this time what we'll do, and I'm using just the Bumblebee ink for that. That may be off camera, but that's what I used. So this one we may need to bring over just a tiny bit, and we may have to trim the stem off, but that's okay. So I'm just going to come in again and just put that little bit of color. If I do that too far up, I think it'll be okay. Okay. I get too excited. So by just putting the glue there and a little bit on our stem, it leaves that dimension at the top of the flower. And I like that. So I won't go all the way down because I already know I need to trim that off just a little bit. Right about there. Okay, let me find my paper snips. This one's up a little bit, but it's going to be okay too, I think. All there is playing tonight. We're actually filming this, and then we'll have it ready to post for y'all in the morning. And you know, you really could pop that up with dimensionals if you wanted to. I'm just gluing it down. And that's all it is to do our first card. Now we are going to add, I've got these Bumblebee trinkets, and they are so cute and so shiny. So you get 20 of these little trinkets, and they are perfect to add using glue dots. And that's what I would recommend for them, just because they are going to stick up just a little bit from your card, so a glue dot is going to hold it on nice and tight. So I actually decided to add my Bumblebee down here. I think I'll move this one over to the other side. What do you think, Dee?
Love it.
I'm real happy with that. So that's our first card, you guys. I did get that up just a tiny bit, so pay attention when you're stamping and bring that down a little bit, but it's okay. I'm still happy with it. Just make it your own. All right, that is card number 1. So let's go ahead and work on card number 2. This time we're going to go ahead and work on that fancy fold, and I'm going to have to look up what the name of this specific fold is. I just don't remember, I'm sorry. So let's do our stamping first. Let me get all my supplies out. And this one is a fun one. Let me stop and think if I can remember the measurements. I may have to post them later. But this is just a half sheet of cardstock, so I'm wanting to say this is 9 1/4. I may have Dale measure it for me right quick. 9 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then scored. I think it's 1 7/8. Would you mind measuring that right quick, Dee? And we're gonna go ahead. And again, we need that Misty Moonlight ink. You can't move my inks away, Dee.
Okay. Which
I think I just need Misty Moonlight right now. Thank you. Okay, so
yeah, the first score line is at 1 3/4 and 7 3/8.
well, I came from each end.
Okay. So
It's 9 1/4 by 4 1/4. Is that right?
yes.
I'm pretty sure it's 9 1/4 by 4 1/4,
Yes.
and then scored at 1 7/8. I think.
Yes.
From either end, what I do. I put it in the trimmer and score it this way, flip it, score it the other way. That's what I do. Thank you. And then this piece is actually 4 1/4 by 1 3/4, and then you're just layering on those pieces of Designer Series paper. Now I left this fairly plain, but you're going to be able to step it up if you want to. You're going to have an extra B in your kit, so you can always add that either to the outside to your case, or you could add that to this card if you really wanted to. Okay, we are looking for the stamp, and is this the right one? I'm not. Let me look and see what I used on this one. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thanks. Your acts of kindness are like a breath of fresh air. I'm going to ink that up with Misty Moonlight, and I'm just stamping this down toward the bottom. So that way it's hidden when the card is closed. I think I did okay on that stamping. And this is a fancy fold, but it's a super easy one. We're just going to bring this piece inside. So when you score this and fold it on those score lines, you end up with a card that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, just like a standard card. So that's why this inside panel is 5 1/4 by 4. So it makes it pretty easy, but that's a neat fold. I think you could even turn it, don't you? I bent down a little bit too far. Okay, that's lining up better. And then I like this too because you get to use a couple of different pieces of Designer Series paper. So this little kind of arm that goes here, we're going to put this piece on, and it's 4 by 1 1/2, just to leave a little border. I'm using a lot of glue, huh? Am I making you nervous? Yes?
It's okay.
It's okay. Let that dry for a second, and go ahead and put this cute paper on. This, you'll have to let me know what you guys think of Cajun Craze. It's not a color that I use a lot, but I really like this. I loved pulling this color out of these little pieces of Designer Series paper. So even this yellow piece has the Cajun Craze and then also the Misty Moonlight in it. So it really helps pull those little pieces of color out of the paper. You could certainly use any color that you wanted to of cardstock to make a card like this. And when you get everything all lined up, you know, you've got your even borders on the side. I really like that. So it's a very quick card to make, as you can see. Now what I did to add this kind of arm piece was figured out where I wanted it, and I really debated, is the stamp set, I've got it, don't I? Let me show you that on the stamp set there is a little bee, and I really thought about stamping the bee on this card. You know, you could do whatever you like, or you may even have another stamp that you would like to bring in. It could use something, but I liked it just kind of plain. So I'm actually going to put a couple of dimensionals up here at the top, and I'm putting them on my card so that I can be assured that they're not going to show when I attach this little arm. Now before I attach that, I want to grab my Bumblebee gingham ribbon. It is so cute, you guys. This carried over from last year's annual catalog, and I've used it a ton. It's one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and tie a quick bow here. And I think I'm actually going to add a Bumblebee trinket on this little arm. I think that's what I'm going to do. I want it to have a little something extra. But if you change it up, oops, see if my fingers will work. If you change it up, I'd love to see what you do to make it your own. See if I can get my fingers to work. So we were talking the other night at Paper Pumpkin Club about bows. Boy, that one's wonky, isn't it? Let's try that again. We were talking about bows and how to do a bow. A couple of tips that I have is I like to work from the bolt. I like to tie the bow upside down. I like to give you guys enough ribbon to actually tie a bow. I don't want to cut you short, so you may even have a little bit of extra ribbon. And usually if I tie the bow upside down, it works out better, it looks better. And you can see I've got nice big loops. And so then when I flip it back around, I'm able to adjust my loops. And bows, you just have to work with them. That's just all there is to it. I don't see anybody tying the perfect bow the very first time. You just have to keep working with it. Just takes practice, right, Dee?
Absolutely.
Like lots of things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now it's not tight enough. Oh my goodness. Try this one more time, y'all. Third time's the charm?
Absolutely.
Really? We'll see. Or the 8th time is the charm?
Could be.
Could be. I think it's going to work better this time. Yep, so we're just going to come in and adjust it and pull on the tails and then fluff out the bow and just keep working with it till we like it. Another friend of ours is a glue dot. That can really help, and I do want my tails to be just a little bit longer. And of course my trick of bringing my tails together to snip so that my tails are about the same length. I like that. So glue dots are our friends whenever we're doing bows, and also you can grab your Take Your Pick tool, and we can come in with the Take Your Pick tool and just pick up a glue dot and bring it right underneath that bow, and that way it is right where I want it and it's not going anywhere. Okay, finally, I think we're ready. Take these dimensional backs off. I promise y'all this is a quick and easy card.
You're just trying to make it look hard.
I know, I am great at that. Aren't I? Making things more complicated than what they need to be. It's okay. if you say yes.
Well,
It looks pretty straight. Okay. Now, let's bring the glue dots back in because I want to grab another one of those cute little trinkets. It's funny, I'm putting bumblebee trinkets on and I was stung by a wasp earlier today.
ouch.
It was not pleasant. That's such an odd sensation. So I wasn't very happy with him. I'm sure it was a guy.
I'm sure it was a guy.
I think I'm going to put my little bumblebee down here. I think that's what this one needed too, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that to this one as well. No, maybe I won't. We'll leave one with and one without. Okay, there we go. That is, are we on card number 2?
That was card number 2.
Okay, yeah, let's put it on there. We'll go for it. Okay, it looks like I still need to work on this with the bone folder just a little bit more. It's not wanting to cooperate. Sometimes you have to show it who's boss. Okay, so that's our super cute card number 2. I love this fold, and like I said, I'll have to tell you guys later what the name of it is. You could certainly do some stamping there too. That would be really, really cute. Just a little fun fold for you. Okay, let's work on our third project. This is your favorite, isn't it, Dill?
Yes, it is.
So this one is more of a monochromatic. That is not something that I am drawn to in design very often, but I just really love the way that this floral image looks. Gosh, what was that? Something just hit our window.
Some kind of flying
Bugs?
inside.
Hmm.
Probably one of those locusts.
Ooh, yuck. Glad he's on the outside.
Yep.
It doesn't sound like he's wanting to stay on the outside. I did not. Yes, I did. Thinking I didn't have an inside panel, but I do. So this is Crumb Cake, and it's one of my favorite browns, one of our favorite neutrals. Now I've got a glue dot on my bone folder. I'm doing all the good, y'all. I love Crumb Cake. It's one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and put our inside panel. And you know, you could add a piece of Designer Series paper, just a little strip on the inside if you wanted to perk it up a little bit. You could also do some stamping on the inside if you want to. And this would be a neat image to also stamp on your envelope. I didn't do that this time, but you certainly could. So this is a really pretty piece of Designer Series paper. I just need to make sure that I've got it going the right way. And we're just going to put that right on the front. So it is 5 1/4 by 4. And that side is really pretty too. This card really would work either way. It wouldn't be monochromatic if you did that, but you could still have a pretty card. And I do really like that pattern. Okay. Now let's do a little stamping. So we've got, I think this comes from Stitch So Sweetly. And I just cut a little piece that's a 1/2 inch by 1 1/2 inch. And it's gonna just layer right inside of that frame. I really struggled to find something that we could stamp this little bitty hello on and it not get lost. So I thought that ended up turning out really cute. I'm gonna bring in my silicone craft sheet for my stamping, and it may be dirty, y'all forgive me. It probably needs to be cleaned. And we're going to bring in our Crumb Cake ink. Now I still have the old style Crumb Cake ink pad and it works perfectly fine. I need my little bitty hello stamp, and we'll stamp it right here on our piece of basic white. Pretty good. And then let me find my image here. This is a beautiful flower image. It's a pretty good size stamp. Let me make sure I get it really well inked up. And for these longer stamps, I like to turn it to the side. I can just visualize better the placement of everything. And then we'll just, and I'm just using my silicone craft sheet so I don't get ink on my work surface, just in case I went off the edge. Okay, so now we are able to adhere this little sentiment onto the frame. I think this is the smallest Stitch So Sweetly, isn't it, Dale?
Yes, it is.
Dale usually does our die cutting for us, and he has started working at one of our school districts as a math teacher. And so, aren't you proud of me? I did all the die cutting for this class. I worked the plate to the die cut machine, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But so that's a tip for you when you're die cutting, and especially when you're doing a lot of die cutting. Be sure that you are turning your plate end to end and over as you run it through. I'm not going to show them our plate, okay?
The plate was well loved to begin
Well,
with.
that is true. That was a lot of dimensionals I just put on there.
Tara would be proud.
She would be. And now let me find my Take the Pick tool. That Wink of Stella is not going to do me any good. So let's use that to take these backings off.
Why does Tara say you need to use a lot of dimensionals?
Why?
Because her mom is a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator.
Yes. Our daughter would have used probably twice the dimensionals that I did on here. And I really did overdo it, if that's possible. Now, come on now. There we go. I think I got them all. Okay, so now we're just going to add this piece. Now this focal image is, I think, 3 by 4. Now I like to cut my designer series paper like that, but I thought that looked good using this stamped image as well. And then we're going to come in with our little sentiment. I'm sorry, y'all. Oliver is being extremely active, especially for this time. So I'm going to put a dimensional on that end that will go off of focal image. Oop, did I do it right? Yes. And bring that in right about there. Does that look straight, D?
It looks good.
Good. So that way you've got your dimensional under this side and then a little bit of glue to adhere that down. And let me set that aside for just a second while I let that dry, and I'm going to pull in my linen thread. There it is. And what I did was use this linen thread, and I like to do a double bow when I use linen thread. So I don't know, that's probably about 12 inches of linen thread.
Yes.
Since it's doubled over. And then I'm just going to cut that end, and that way I've got plenty to make my little bow. I just hold those two strands together to make my bow, and then again you can come in and adjust it to make it cute. And this is actually, I'm saying linen thread, but this is the crumb cake twine. It's from a combo pack in the annual catalog. So it matches perfectly. You know, we love that Stampin' Up! Products coordinate beautifully together. So even our twine matches our card, keeping with that monochromatic theme. Let me find my glue dots again, and we will add this cute little double bow with a glue dot. And I'm just going to put that right beneath that sentiment. And you can really kind of manipulate the bow and the twine, the tails, so that you get it like you want it, and use that glue dot to hold it in place. So gosh, you guys, we're already up to card number 3. This was card number 3. Hope y'all are loving them. I just thought these turned out so sweet. Sometimes it is so important just to go back to basics and keep it nice and simple. Now this is our last project for the day, and I absolutely love this one. So be careful when you're taking your supplies out of your package. And actually, I may have tossed in a couple extras in my packet. You're going to find that you have a couple of pieces that are die cut for your sentiment. When they're stitching, we try to include an extra just in case you need it. Let me get organized here, and we will go ahead and fold this piece of thick basic white for this card base. I'm just going to move that envelope out of the way. Let me bring this card in a little bit closer. Again, keeping it super, super simple, letting this designer series paper really shine, and then using the dandelion image, the die cut, and just a super sweet sentiment. So let's go ahead and adhere these pieces on. Don't you just love this paper? It is so pretty.
I like the images, yes.
Do you? Yeah, and I just totally miss this paper. Of course, when the new catalog comes out, I don't have that centered very well. When the new catalog comes out, there's just so much to see. And I'm really, really drawn to all the Christmas and the cute penguins and everything like that. So don't forget to go towards the back of the catalog and take a look at the really pretty fall stamps and dies and papers. There's a couple of really pretty fall papers. Now this one is directional, so just be sure that you get that on there like you want it, so your flowers aren't going upside down. I've done that before.
Good design is good design. It doesn't matter which way
whether
it's
it's upside down or not. Good to know, because sometimes,
I mean, take a Jackson Pollock painting. Any way you turn it,
right,
it looks the same, right?
It does. You are correct. Not quite sure what's going on either way, right? Okay, let me find my sentiment, and I'm going to bring that Misty Moonlight back. And this, it says, made with love for a true friend. I was trying to say dear friend, but it's true friend. It's telling them that we give them a couple of pieces to stamp on when it's a stitched element. In that way, you can use that for something else. Looks pretty good. Boy, I'm on point with stamping.
Yes, you are.
Yay. Anyway, you can keep that and use that on a different project. So now, let's talk a little bit, because I think I do have some extra pieces. I had some extra die cuts, and I just threw them in my envelope for my kit. So let's kind of weed this out and figure out exactly what we need. think I need, let me check the size on that. Those are the same. And then there's one of those. Do I not have the smallest one? Yes, I do. Okay, so you should have 4 flowers in your package. The first one is going to look a little bit strange because it has this little appendage on it. Well, this is actually the die. Let me pull it back in if I can reach it. Let me find it out of this container. Okay, so this is the die for the actual flower. So that's what I use to get this back piece, and then I also cut you a little piece that is your green stem. So that's why it's got this little piece that you're going to need to snip. So let's go ahead and do that first. So you may have a big piece, a little piece, or no piece at all that you need to snip, just depending on where I placed that flower when I was die cutting. So the next thing we want to do is come in and kind of work on the little, I guess they're petals. What are those called on a dandelion? Yeah, petals. We just want to break the fibers a little bit and really kind of ruffle all of that up. And we'll do that with all 4 sizes. I just thought this was so cute. And this is actually cut from Bumblebee cardstock. So Bumblebee cardstock is a perfect dandelion color. You know how dandelions just kind of go every which way. So you just really want to get those fibers broken and loose. Kind of ruffled up. And I think that makes your dandelion look better. You have to understand that this card we made, what, a couple weeks ago? And so it's been kind of probably mistreated through the process of prepping everything. And so most of those bigger ones I did where they're kind of going down. So this is the top of the flower, and I'm curling them down, but this one I'm curling up. So as we layer these, it's going to give a lot of different dimension. So let's go ahead, and I think we're using glue dots again. Let's do that, and we'll go ahead and grab this next size down, put a glue dot or 2. And then that way we can come in and add it to the largest and just offset those little petals. That feels weird to call those petals, but I guess they are. And just work with it and get your dimension in there. It really does look like a little dandelion when you get done. Okay. And then we'll come in with this next one and add it. Now you could use, I can't find the end. You could use mini glue dots if you wanted to. That might add a little bit too much bulk, but especially if you were putting it on some type of 3D project, that would be cute.
You're saying mini dimensionals, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is that what I said?
Oh, you said mini glue dots.
Oh no, mini dimensionals. I thought I said dimensionals. No. Sorry.
You're using mini glue dots, that's why.
Maybe that's why I said it. No, mini dimensionals, especially like if you were adding this to a box or something, that would be cute. Give it a little bit more dimension.
That'd make it really stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then when you get done, you just kind of ruffle them up, and you know how dandelions are.
But if you do that on a card that you're going to send through the mail, extra postage.
Well, true. That is true if you put it on with. Okay, and again, your stem piece, that's just using part of that die. So it may be kind of chopped off at the top, but it still works because it's going to get covered up. If I can get my glue going. I'm just putting a little tiny dot of glue in a couple of different places. Our liquid glue is super strong, so you don't need much. Okay, and then you have to remember too that the sentiment is going to come across there and help to hold that down as well. So it's not going to go anywhere. And we'll put that right up there. So this one may be down just a tiny bit further than on my sample card, but that's okay. Let's bring our sentiment in. And we may use some dimensional bones. We've been talking about how a friend of mine calls these the bones of your dimensionals. Don't forget that you can use those side pieces, and those are really nice, especially when you have something a little bit longer like this sentiment piece. And we'll go ahead and add our sentiment on. I just brought it over to the side, almost to the edge, to the mat, but not quite. See if that looks moderately straight. And then we're going to bring our cute little dandelion in. And because this is kind of cupped a little bit, we'll use a dimensional to add that to our project. And then we know that the dandelion's trying to get away. That's going to stay on our card just perfectly. And we'll bring that right up here to the end of the stem and add it. Isn't that so cute? I just love it. Okay, let me bring in all of our cards again. Oh, I didn't put, I'm not done. Bring it back. Oops. Thank you. I must be tired. Nice to have Dale and Oliver here to assist me. Keep me on track.
Oliver wants to share the ribbon with you.
I'm sure he does. Ribbon is very tasty. So we're just making a cute little bow for this one. And you could also just tie a little knot if you wanted to. We actually made a card in a class not too terribly long ago where we used just a little swoosh of ribbon. So, you know, taking it back and forth like this and adhered that down. And would you hand me a bumblebee trinket? I'm going to use my bow, but I think I'll show them. Thank you. So anyway, we just put the little bumblebee on top of that ribbon that had kind of been swooshed back and forth, tousled back and forth. So that's a cute way to add that to your project as well. I'm going to go ahead this time and put my little bow down here again. And then I put my bumblebee up towards the flower. And then we'll be done. I was trying to rush things, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I just get too excited.
You can't rush fun.
Okay. Bring it right up there. So cute. Those bumblebee trinkets, let me bring that a little bit closer. They are so cute. And that bumblebee, that gingham ribbon is darling. Okay, so there's project number 4. Project number 3. Number 2. Number 1. I hope you love them. And then be sure to decorate your case. As we said, you could certainly put some stamping here. You could use that die cut, that extra die cut that I sent, and put that on. And I bet you could pop it up. There's room in there in that case if you wanted to. So have fun with it, and I would love to see what you do with that case if you do something a little bit different. Again, this is, oh gosh, Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper, along with the Garden Wishes stamp set, and then I think they're called the Dandelion Wishes dies. So lots of fun. Let us know if you have any questions, and don't forget, we still have 2 kits available. So if you are interested in one, just send me a message. If you need one of those holiday catalogs, let me know. We still have some in stock, and we'd be glad to get one out to you. Thank you. Y'all take care.